Hello and welcome to the Playing Arts Podcast, where we put the spotlight on artists in our community. I'm your host, Andy Needham, and joining me this week is Vini Naso. Vini is a digital artist exploring how notions of beauty and visual identity are expanding in the digital age, and he created one of the most striking cards in the Playing Arts Crypto Edition, a true collector favourite, the King of Clubs. Today, we're going to learn more about Vini and his art, and we have a fun giveaway too. But before all of that, let me welcome you to the show, Vini. How's it going?
Hello, Andy, for having me. Very excited to be here and share a little bit of what I do.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah, that's great. Let's just kick things off by learning a bit more about you, and where you come from. And yeah, if you could share a little bit about your background, that'd be great.
Yeah. So I'm Brazilian. And I moved in more than 10 years. And I've been working in design, motion graphics, doing for like commercials and almost like 20 years. And only like at the end of like 2020, I decided to really dive into the art world, apply for some contests and other stuff. And was lucky to be picked up by a few galleries. Got a few contests as well, and that helped me to like just start my artist career. And from then on, I started being more like a full-time artist. And then crypto came to my life and everything, Wow.
Yeah, everything took off.
Been a crazy ride.
So yeah, I mean, I read that 2020 is when digital art became your focus. So what were you doing prior to that? And was it the pandemic that really sparked the new focus?
Before that was like two full-time for and studios here in Toronto called Tendril. They're my great friends. I've been doing that for a long time. So I was like ready to try something different, something more personal. And I also was right at the time where I was born. So I took almost like a sabbatical 6 months, really dive into what kind of art I would like to tell with my work. During those 6 months, that was the period where I actually were all in. And my first series now, the Masks We Wear, that was the first series I put on Super Rare, and also the Kodama series. So those two series came out of this like 6 months sabbatical.
Wow. It's really, really focused, to kind of, that's awesome.
Between changing diapers and
yes, okay, young family and all that. So
yeah,
that's cool. I just want to, make you aware, and I don't know if you've seen a few of the questions in the Discord, but today not all the questions are going to be coming from me. In this episode, we're going to be giving away 3 editions of Vini's card to community members who ask questions in the Discord. And if you like the sound of that, but you didn't get a chance to ask a question, we'll be aiming to do more of these kind of giveaways in future episodes. So I'll hit you with a few of my questions, but there'll be some coming from the community, and I think afterwards you're going to choose a few of the winners. So that's really cool that you'll be actually selecting who gets your card. So that's great.
Awesome.
Oh, all right. Well, let's just move into a bit of your style, I guess, because it's this amazing aesthetic. I mean, it appeals to me in just so many ways. What 3 words best describe your style?
3 words. I think I was trying to say like folk futurism, something that during my research I came up like I came across folk art and cyberpunk. Those are the 3 that keep inspiring me, and mythology as well. Yes, a 4th word there.
Very good. Okay, well, we'll explore a few of those themes then. We have a question from the community, from Zeitgeist, saying, I love your style. Your your King of Clubs was my grail card when I first found playing arts. I'd love to know whose art inspired you as you were learning and forming your own particular style. Who had the most influence?
I would say like James Jean always been like one artist that always inspired me. I wouldn't say my work reflects his style or anything. Maybe it does. But Mobius, or I don't know. I would say this too. Yeah, James Jean and Mobius.
Oh, okay. And now let's say so. You say that through your art, you explore how notions of beauty and visual identity are expanding in the digital age. So, what first drew you to that exploration?
I think that came with I'm from Brazil, so Carnival is something very strong there, the culture. So I was born really going out since I was a kid, dressing up with many different costumes every. So you really play for identity. Concert, you were like, I don't know. Back then, you could be a house, but you get to choose like your identity like that. So with the internet, the metaverse, all of the things are kind of coming back. And also choose your identity, or even hide your real life identity. So I think that's the fun thing about being more present in the metaverse and being able to choose your look, really reinvent your style, because to speak what's out there. For me, being able to create something from scratch that looks unique, it's a huge challenge, first of all, but it's also something that I'd love to do.
These characters that you're creating and stuff, you choose one of these masks as your profile picture as well, and here it is. So, just wanted to sort of ask you a little bit more about this character and why you have this one, as your profile pic.
I guess this was the first one of the series, so this was probably the most important thing, like the thing that kickstarted my, and I would say my style, but this style, because I like to keep exploring, keep evolving. So I guess this was the first one of the series. Also, like the gesture has like a symbolic meaning, like new, and he's also, I think the first card of tarot, he actually the beginner. He's just starting his journey. I guess that's how I felt like when creating this. So it has a lot of meaning, personal meaning, besides being the first of the series.
First of the series, lots of personal meaning. That's awesome. And I just want to come back to this particular image here, where we see the kind of grayscale version without the textures applied and all that kind of stuff. And this, I mean, the detail. This is a great picture as well because of just being able to kind of see the level of detail in the patterns that are on the kind of on the mask and all that, and even on the materials that the character, the clothes that the character's wearing. When you get to see the full color, I mean, you can kind of like almost appreciate even more the level of detail that you go into on these pieces. So, I wanted to ask you, just like how are you how something like this being kind of constructed, like what tools are you using to, because being a digital artist, it's software, right? So what's your primary software for creating these artworks?
Yeah, so back then working with designers, really diving into the software and having a lot of fun. And the textures, the patterns you see on the face is mostly like procedural. Like there's a lot of like texture there to help, but there's a lot of like procedural steps there that help me to create a lot of variations. So like the main part is creating something as a designer after exploration. And most of the tools that I use are like normal tools, like the Max for modeling and ZBrush as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and like also Marvelous designer, like all the code.
Marvelous.
Marvelous amazing for that. Make something really quick, and really free. Like I have no experience as a fashion designer. There you can, it's digital. You have a lot of like flexibility, cheat, and you don't have to build everything.
That's pretty cool. I've never used Marvelous myself. I I wonder if you could kind of walk me through, just like, just do you create a base mesh or something somewhere and then bring it in, or is it all created within Marvelous? Like, is it like kind of taking a garment and then adding physics to it, or how does it work?
Yeah, so you have cool things that you can bring, kind of like a character or object, an avatar. That's like your collision object basically. Then
Mm.
everything that you design in there, like is the cloth. It's going to be simulated on top of your avatar. And with that, it's good because then you can create a character on pose, and then later you bring the animation to, and then like the cloth is gonna like accommodate to the pose. So that's very helpful to create a garment and doesn't stay in the same pose. You can actually like morph into different like pose and even like well. In the garment you draw you do like a almost like a 2D. There's a 2D viewport, a 2D
Hmm.
one. You keep designing on the 2D and just like you press space bar and the garment kind of starts simulating. And you can choose different types of like physics, like rubber, cotton, or silk. Tries to behave as close to those materials as possible.
Mm. Wow. Okay. Interesting stuff. I mean, it's fairly similar to, I've used like Cinema 4D for cloth, but yeah, so it's kind of a similar way of like dressing, kind of fixing it to the model for colliding and stuff. But it's like designed just for that, so it's just super powerful.
Yeah.
And so yeah, there's we're still talking about styles and stuff like that. And I guess I got a question from Little Terrio who said, after browsing your work, and I guess he's talking about the work on your website. Perhaps that's the design work, I guess. He's saying you have a very broad spectrum of styles, which seems to showcase an amazing ability to adapt to what I'm assuming is client needs. Is there one particular style or piece that you feel is the most in line with your personal artistic vision?
It's hard to tell. I have to go back, but some of them are personal. I guess I would say the opening, not the opening, but the short animation we did a tender for American Gods, much like a
American.
short film, around 4 or 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. Is that on here?
It should be, if it's not there, it's like on characters or something.
In character. Yeah. American Gods, of course. Yeah. There we go. Yeah.
I think that's one is good because it's also a client.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like flexibility to explore the design. So I was the art director on that one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, even though like yes, it's just like it's character work, I was free to play or whatever I want.
So you had a bit of freedom there.
And that's the thing. Yeah, yeah, and like a design background, commercial, you do have to be flexible. You do have to be able to explore all kinds of style, and that can somehow it's kind of hard to be an artist. Have the mindset to do everything. To develop your personal style, it's like a little bit conflicting, right? But
Mm.
it's good because then you have the experience of like trying everything. Then you have your own style. You kind of like bring the experience, mix a lot of like the technology, the tool way, but also your vision. Well, because we've done so much research that you got in touch with so many styles and techniques.
Mm. Yeah. There's. I want to come back to some of that stuff as well, particularly love that type of post as well. I'll talk about that in a minute, but I just want to continue with another question from Lil Terrio. He says, do you have a favorite client you've done work for, or an industry story that you feel was a standout event in your career that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I think the American Gods, I'd say, is the probably most fun I had, like a pay job. I guess because it was entertaining, it wasn't really like a real thing. Um, yeah, but also there's another one that is like really like, it's not, I would say it's not my style because I've done it, but it's the one for Audemars Piguet that I got to travel to Switzerland, like recording like the moon cycles and like sky, all of that stuff. So it was a very memorable job. And also the client gave us like a lot of freedom. So we wanted, of course, within the brief, to like showcase the watch and time and all those like more abstract concepts. A lot of fun.
Oh, very cool. Okay. And I mean, you've had, work or articles written about you in Vogue Italia and things like that. And I mean, how was that? How was that kind of? Did that all kind of? I don't know. How's that feel?
Came, about. I think it was because of the contest I won at the magazine Beautiful Bizarre, and I guess I got a lot of attention for that, and Vogue found out about my work, and that was amazing. Like, even mail from Vogue editor, Vogue Italia, and asked you to an article and write about you. So that was pretty awesome. Of course, I was very excited about that, cool. Especially because of the theme, what it was doing.
Yes, and that was
it's
about
really
a question.
Rewarding.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty nuts, man. That's pretty cool. And did they do another one? Is this?
I think it's just like those two projects.
As one. Okay, one article. Right. I wanted to come back to this because I love these types of posts where you actually show behind the scenes and the process and kind of getting into, not the final finished product, but a little bit more about kind of what you went through to get to there, the journey. And there's also a behind the scenes or process video that people can come and check out on Vini's website for more info there. But like, let's talk about your process then. Currently, do you have like a studio where you go to be creative, something, specific?
Yeah. About the place, my basement.
Your basement.
And yeah, my process. So like, because I come from like this let's say commercial industry, you have to do a lot of research. So the first things you do, like, just do start googling things and Pinterest, creating mood boards, really searching for reference. You come up with some rough idea, then you put in a deck, like a PDF that you create to show the client your idea. So I kind of like keep borrowing the process from my personal work as well. Maybe I don't do as because I don't have a client to show. It's just myself. But it's always good to keep maybe quotes that inspired work, or sometimes just like a folder with images. I think most people do that. And then I just really try to connect the ideas and start sketching and mixing things up. Like it's just good to mix your sources, so you come up with something.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Focusing on one thing.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So you're kind of gathering like reference material or just information from various places, which you definitely want to diversify that and just kind of
exactly. Yeah. And also I think technology also. So I always try to maybe attach some like famous myths or famous characters that have a backstory, help me Most of the times I have the concept before the art, but sometimes things just come after, the ideas and the thought behind the art just come after. There's not really like a perfect formula.
So you said you get the concept before the art sometimes. And like
most of the times I try.
Yeah. And then you're kind of like thinking of getting the themes and all that kind of stuff and gathering materials based on that. And there's, you have some like really cool titles to your pieces as well. And like, are they, do they just kind of come before the artwork as well, or during? What part of the process are you thinking about?
Yes, there's a good example of that. Video for show you. It was the minister's group. Please.
Do I have a link to that?
I guess if you go to my Instagram.
Okay. I'm going to go to your Instagram. We're here.
Up, probably. There's the samurai and priest and the red hat. So the first one was the samurai that I created, and I didn't have much of a backstory for him. I wanted to create like some samurai inspired character, mixing a lot of Asian cultures, Korean, Chinese, all of those like come together, create this character. And for some reason, I felt there was some kind of like a paradoxical message there, like war and peace. Started digging up for like, this reference and get inspired by like authors or poems and stuff like that. And I came across like 1984, and it was a kind of like a perfect fit for like a theme that I got from So the other two was like a strength. I kind of forgot the name.
I was just admiring the other versions of the render. This is kind of like,
this one is war speed, ignore the strength, and it was the slogan from the book. Anyways, the book is very inspiring. It felt like it was a big challenge to of course they had this paradoxical like stories to them, or like this double meaning. So the series, like the first character led to the story behind it, and that like helped me to create the other two. So that was kind of like a interesting path to come up with the concept and the character.
That's interesting. So yeah, having the first
image inspired me to find the concept, and then the other characters felt more easily once I have the concept established.
These I mean, are you, the characters, are you kind of using a base mesh, or are you sculpting everything? There's so many amazing details to your characters. How much of that are you just like, are you building it all from scratch is what I want to know, because it must be.
I think the base mesh, scratch all of them. I buy some models, and then I change to fit whatever needs I have. And then like the texturing, all the garments, scratch free. I mean, some objects hard to model everything. Just don't have enough time to do all of it. So it's a mix, but most of it I would say like 80% scratch.
Wow, that's a high percentage actually. Yeah.
Yeah, and then like of course I so I don't always build from scratch everything, but I try to do as much as I can. Process it, or that I like to do. It just takes time. When people ask me, pick one, it's like depends. If I have the time, because I can have to like researching and going back and forth and really decide what texture to use or color to use. I like to take my time. It can like sometimes turn out in a day or two as well.
Interesting. Wow. Well, speaking of time, like, do you have a particular daily routine? I got a question from Rain. He says, "What does your daily routine look like to support yourself in your work?"
Oh, yeah, I wish I had a day, but I don't. That's the truth. I used to have more of a routine, but since I became more of an artist, it's just really trying to find a balance between being online media work. I try to keep it as flexible, yeah, flexible as I can. But yeah, just like no specific.
No specific routine. Well, I mean, that's fair enough. And like, you know, like I understand what you were saying about like when you had the day job, it was like, well, then, you know, you've got those hours are filled with that certain time. And then, you know, so, I mean,
It's a good thing to have, but haven't got there yet. I'm adapting to the role of like making art and being social and all of that.
yeah, yeah. And balancing all of that with kind of family as well and life
Exactly.
outside of, yeah, yeah. Um, so I think we're still talking about process and stuff. And there's a, from what I gather, that you know you've got a fair amount of you know years of experience, and so over the years you've kind of picked up various softwares and stuff. Like when you approach like learning a software, is it for I want it only for that technique, or is it like I'm going to learn it inside and out? You know, are you the type of person that just wants to kind of get in and get out of the software as quickly as possible as soon as it's kind of served the purpose for you?
Yeah, I think there's two answers for that. I think if you're starting, it's always good to learn as much as you can from the software because you want to be flexible to solve problems. But right now, there have softwares. The main software I use, I know a lot and like many years. I think whatever new software that I pick up, I only go there for the specific reason, like for technique. But it really depends on the software. Something like Substance Designer, for example, you so much in there that like I really try to learn as much as I could so I can come up with like really like uh, unconventional ways of like solving some problems. And also when you learn like some particles as well, like I use some X particles. Like
Mm-hmm.
I usually go by techniques, by that type of like simulation. I want to do that for my work and learn that. Then I'm probably gonna forget in the next week after I'm done with it. So
That's it, isn't it? If you
it's
don't,
like
you
yeah,
lose it if you
don't
don't
do it
use it.
all the time.
Yeah. You mentioned X particles, and I there was a picture. There's a piece of work on your site that I wanted to just check something because, like, these were, and by I think your Instagram is very kind of well curated. Actually, like I feel like if that's
Thanks.
probably by design, perhaps. Like, you know, there's not a whole stream of things. There's a little bit to scroll, but it's all kind of amazing quality. So just wanted to put that out there. But this particular
Thank you.
piece, and it was this kind of like moth-like insect. The I think we got a close up of the wings. So I was thinking like this could be done with particles, perhaps. But I wanted to ask you how you did it.
Yeah. So uh, so it was actually done with help of mine. I think he was like learning who back then, and he did this crazy simulation. Um, like right now, it's fairly easy. Other things like Marcos, yes, but back then, volume noise,
Oh, okay.
turbulence
Yeah,
noise,
yeah.
something like this, and then you leave the trail and you create this like really like pattern.
Yes. Yes,
And
exactly. Yeah.
so he just created a pattern. It's like, oh, that doesn't look like anything. It looks like more too abstract. It looks too abstract. And I a mesh and I bring like ZBrush and try to model to, form something. Or that's why it happens. Like a mix of like random particles and scales, bring to ZBrush and we try to model on top of it.
That's cool. So just blending stuff, really. That's awesome.
Mm.
I wanted to ask you about this one too. The look of it. I don't know. There's something about it. I love it. It's very clean. But I noticed in one of the tags that is Keyshot. So did you do the lighting in Keyshot?
Yeah, yeah. A shot for like style frames. I didn't have any like software for like realistic render. I think I was using Max back then. There was no Redshift or anything like that. So Keyshot was my favorite like software to render. But it's a very old piece. That's why I don't use Keyshot. Mostly it's Redshift.
Yeah, mostly Redshift. I mean, the look that you get from that is incredible. I really like these, and this is. I'm going to come back to these or something similar to these in a minute, probably later on. But this reminds me of you were talking about a collaboration piece, but we'll get there later. But like this style kind of character kind of reminds me of that. So, but I love this. I love the color palette and just the simplicity. It's like one of those great things about like it's like a good design thing. You've kind of taken away everything and you've got like the essence of what just needs to be there, and it's just I don't know. I love them. I think they're awesome, dude. So these this particular series, is this something that's out on Super Rare? I'm not sure.
No.
No.
Where should at some point. But I use the Alchemist base to create the collaboration with Artifact.
There you go.
Yeah, because they're more like toys. Really exploring my style. I didn't have like a proper style yet, so I was exploring. It's like I've done all kinds of characters, very simple characters and more complex ones. I think that time I was trying to create something that could be like maybe printable at some point. More like toy-like.
Yeah, they have that nice look to them. Yeah. Yes. And
also very inspired by.
There's. I was going to say, I think we can probably move to, your influences and things like that. So, I got another question from Rain that says, what is your greatest inspiration when you are creating your art?
Yeah, I think like I said, always like an artist that always looking at like specifically his patterns, the way he viewed the stories and characters, and sometimes don't even need like the whole story. You just see first behind the character. So I really try to do that kind of stuff with my work. Same thing, I feel like it kind of does the same. And I really love, use of color, and, general. One of the best out there. Yeah, those work when I'm creating something, but it's just like once I'm like more relaxed and trying to get inspiration, it's just good to go back to the writing.
You mentioned like being more relaxed and in I guess like in the process. So let's just come back and just say like what part of the process then is enjoyable for you, and where you're kind of flowing the most, and it's all just
yeah.
Sunshine and
there's
rainbows.
2 parts. Now I sit down in front of the computer and start actually doing stuff or sketching, actively doing stuff, and the moments were not just like walk on the streets or like in the shower or even like before going to sleep or start thinking. about or reading a book. Those are the more relaxed moments. And even like during meditation as well, a lot of ideas at that moment. Even though I don't have much time for that right now. But that's a very helpful like practice that like helps to clear my mind of a lot of stuff and give space for new ideas. And sometimes just to connect ideas.
I'd like
I
to
don't know if
explore
that
that.
answered the question. Yeah.
No, I mean, that's interesting. You've kind of, given me some more thoughts to, to expand on that. And you mentioned meditation. We've had Josh Pierce as guest last time out, and he's, talked about meditation as well as a kind of form of kind of art therapy. But I mean, if you're stealing moments to kind of, refocus yourself, and are you doing that for kind of your, just to strengthen your mental health as well?
Exactly. Yeah. I was always been studying Buddhism and Hinduism, all kinds of like religion that has the and I've been trying or been learning it for a long time. I've took some like crazy intensive trainings, like 10-day retreats, silent retreat, just meditate for like 10 hours a day.
Whoa.
Yeah. So that was really fun. I think was during those days that like I realized that like the moment that I'm most free when I'm creating, when I'm art and when I'm meditating, there's a connection. Yes, like because they bring it to kind of flow, like the moment you're focusing, creating something, or just like observing, just really in the moment, in the present moment. I guess those two things kind of connected for me doing that. I guess helped me to keep pursuing more arts, not so much just to guide my vision, my energy, something that's more like rewarding for me.
Oh wow. 10, did you say 10 hours of
10 hours a day, pretty much.
That's just intense too. Yeah. I'd love to, I think I need to kind of build in something like that to my own life, just to kind of, because it feels like, things, you can lose your focus, you can, try and do too many things and end up doing nothing, and I think just having a method to just clear the mind and just kind of zone in on the priority, the one thing that is important to do, then that's something that I'm
yeah, sometimes
I need to kind of figure out for myself. But
yeah, it's not even about like one thing, more about like not focusing, like being aware of what's going on in your mind. And you have a lot of patterns and a lot of things that distract you, right? And then those habits that you build along years just like kind of block you, like focusing on what's important for you, makes you feel good and what makes you be yourself.
Yeah. Are you there's a question from AEP who's in our audience here. Do you listen to music when you work?
Yeah. Yes. And sometimes just one song and repeat all day. But
Really?
it's just something that I guess helps me to focus.
Yeah.
It
yeah.
becomes like a mantra, and you.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Do you can you share a few of your favorite artists that you're listening to?
Moment. Honest. Yeah, nothing. Honest. I think Roger, like he's not very well known. Wrote this album. It's called The Overview Effect. It's about the feeling the astronauts have when they leave Earth and look back again. Kind of like almost like a meditative state. I don't know, some kind of like cognitive shift. They see the Earth like a tiny ball floating in space, like just their perspective. So he wrote a whole album about that feeling. I always come back to that album.
I'm gonna have to check it out.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's talk about any other artists that inspire you in the NFT space, kind of thing. If we can sort of
NFT
talk about,
space.
yeah,
Yeah, I always inspired before the NFT, and then like we all joined the space together. It's crazy. So Vitor Mosquera is definitely one of them. Spilelis, also like I always like look up to him. Euphoria, so many.
that's it, isn't it? There's a lot. And
There's a lot. Yeah. So and there's other artists that well, Pac-Man, her name. She's doing this like girls, like 3D characters inspired by old artists.
I've got a question from the community as well. Andy Wito. It kind of relates to finding other artists, but the whole question is, what is your favorite marketplace at the moment to sell your work, or to sell your work on, or just browse to find other great artists? So I guess it's related to what we were just chatting about.
Yeah. I mean, I always go most to super rare. We want to find some, yeah. I mean, it's mostly super rare in its gateway, right? To find like good art. Super rare is my favorite one of one.
Mm-hmm.
They've been like very helpful too, like offering space for artists to write their own editorial. Yeah, it was the first platform that started. Like it's maybe the strongest one out there.
Yeah.
Foundation, I just have not tried. I think it's also a very good platform to find new people.
It can be, yeah, it is. I saw you've collected on there, but not actually put anything out from Foundation as yet. But I feel like you're kind of building this following, and kind of like these collections that you're putting out on Super Rare just feels right for that platform. So
yeah, and I feel like it's just working in one place. I don't see much reason why I spread my work all over the place, because it works also as like if someone wants to check my work, they go to one place, everything. Of course, depending on the circumstance, might be good to explore different marketplaces, but so far, first being the best one for me.
Yeah, I mean, there is a good point, of you hit into it there of like exploring other marketplaces and even other chains as well, because there are collectors everywhere. Not just on Ethereum, not just people looking on Super Rare and stuff, and it gives you maybe an opportunity to try a different style or a different set of characters, a different collection, and also reach maybe a different kind of audience. Yeah,
true. Yeah, that's something. And talking about that, like it's on my plan to do for accessible to a broader audience, not so much like the one-of-one collectors. That should come at some point this year. I don't want to promise any.
Yeah.
For that.
Cool.
I mean, the playing arts was one of the projects that was like edition spree, right? So it was a good way to reach out to a broader community.
For sure. Let's talk about your card. Let's talk about that. The King of Clubs, and we have the card here. But I want to go onto your Instagram because there's so many details that I love about this card. I've said it's a collector favorite, and we're gonna show it here. This is kind of like the theme of was the like embodiment of the hive mind, and if you look closely at the this bit here, the top there, you can kind of see the hat that's got all these like faces and heads on it and stuff. And so do you want to just talk us through, like, you know, in your words, like the concept for the card, and how it all came about?
Right. Yeah. I mean, like this. I think since it's like most of the cards are like just one character, it's want to show that there was like more than one mind, more than one character actually within one, you know, person. And I feel like this sort of head is inspired by like Chinese head. And instead of using the regular pattern, which is bamboo like that, I decided to explore like many heads, right? To come across this hive mind. And the face I chose was actually Dali's face. Even though they're super tiny, they're there. We actually recognize, we get really close. Yeah. It's almost like bring back his mind.
Yeah, it's really cool. There's a couple of questions from our community on this card. So from Andy Wito, the iridescent blue color in the star, that's a flute, isn't it? It's kind of like a
yeah. I mean,
yeah. It said it's incredible. Do you have a favorite color palette that you prefer, or do you use the whole rainbow? Is the question.
I think I tend to use like colors. I mean, but they're mostly primary colors like red, blue, yellow. Yeah. I mean, purple is always like times present as well. But like I try to just work with those four colors. Really try to like explore all the range, right? But not, yeah. But there are mainly those colors.
Yeah. Do you kind of lay down like a base color on, you know, like almost like a painting, you know, and then build on top of that, or you just kind of, I don't know. I don't want to.
Yeah. Very organic. I think it's like I know more or less like the main gonna be blue or black. Then like I keep all the colors balancing out. There's no like primary color because my sketches are very like simple, and I only want to work about shapes, forms. Actually, I don't. When I'm in my head, when I do this, I try to make a decision what's going to be the main color, and the other's just there to support and balance things out.
Oh, okay. If from AEP, if you could animate one more thing on this card, what would it be?
I don't know. I think this is it. I mean, yeah, I guess if I had time, I would definitely make the call. Keep live with more.
There's a lot of this, you know, coming back to this one, you can see there's some real sort of subtle details, like even this sort of dust and stuff as well, which just adds a little extra bit. But yeah, I mean,
but at the same time, if I not too much to get that thing ahead, if anything, it'll be something very subtle.
Very subtle, exactly. That's the thing, isn't it? It's like, I think I was saying earlier about, like, you know, those pieces where you'd sort of taken everything away until the essence. You know, it's kind of like that's it, isn't it? It's about sort of yeah.
What about like driving the tank?
Yeah. Do you have
placing call?
And you were actually going back to that because it was lead us into this was the one that we were talking about, I think, and also your collab or the work you were doing with Artifacts, which is this little guy here, which we can kind of zoom in on and have a look. And this is a challenge that you've won. So can you just speak about this and how this connection with Artifact came to be?
So a friend of mine was working in like also participating in this challenge, and I really like what Artifact is doing in space. Like one of the first companies for this market, all the ether, all the economics is behind Web3. I feel like I really wanted to get close to them, and I felt like the challenge was entrance. And it was nice because like when I started chatting with them, I realized they're also new at work. Then I had to do something quick, and it was a toy challenge, so I used my previous work that was meant to be a toy, and like adaptation. Also like adding something new. I created a new hat, coin line, more cyberpunk.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a great adaptation.
Yeah. I think adds more. Also, like borrowing a little bit of inspiration for meta jacket. That's one of the big inspiration.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, and it was really, really fun exercise. And they're like their community is amazing.
That's great, and on their radar now and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah.
Well, yeah. Hopefully, there's more to come.
Guys always have something new to show and surprise everyone.
There was something else I think from way back. I'm gonna find it on your website, I think. And I know we're just gonna I'm conscious of your time, Vinny, so I'm gonna sort of kind of
I think I'm
probably talk about a few more things, but if we're good, then that's great. This concrete vibration piece or series really kind of like, when I was looking through your work, I was like, wow, this is cool. And because you say that you're fascinated with patterns and symmetry found in nature, and this is something that kind of really appeals to me, for sure. Like Fibonacci and all that kind of stuff. And now in these pieces, you're exploring how you like visualizing sound to create form, right? So yeah, just want to kind of talk about a few of these, and you've created these amazing posters to support the series as well. But I mean, I just think this is so cool, this stuff.
This was one of my first series that I really wanted to do something larger, of just one-offs, And yeah, the idea was just explore like math patterns, and patterns came also from like just like assistant my creating After Effects, and that was generating all those patterns that you see. Then I applied that back into. I mean, those forms just kept inspiring me to create like a universe around it, like room, even something that looks like a spaceship. The idea is more, you could keep exploring the universe. It's a little bit of sci-fi sometimes, like planets or Dyson's. The idea of keeping abstract, also almost related to mathematics, right? That was the core behind really exploring patterns and forms.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting that these were all like, hey, prints are available on Society 6, and somebody I know, Nydia Diaz, she was saying, oh, you got to print this one, and you're like, yeah, I'll put it in the comments and stuff. And this was like only a few years ago now, and now the conversation would be much more like, you got to mint this kind of thing,
I know. Just have to find the right moment, because it's so different that it's hard to see how people react to it.
Well, this is it. This is what the other chains are for, and the other marketplaces and stuff,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I got a question from Zeitgeist, saying, what is your next project or goal that you're most excited about?
Shooting like a larger series. I don't know how many yet. I mean, it could be a PFP because my characters they pretty much like they are PFPs. They're very like crafted, and it was unintentional. When I entered the market, I had no idea. I mean, I kind of what cyberpunk, CryptoPunks were, but like I didn't know how big they were. And then it kind of fits in this whole crazy world of people. I may do something like that. Yeah, so that's one on the line. I'm studying now and see how can I and keep my style.
Yeah, that's
the quality of the work.
Well, I wanted to kind of touch on that as well, because if you're, I guess it would depend on how big the edition, the series would be. Like, could be up to 10,000 pieces or whatever, depending on how they're sort of generated. But like you said keeping the quality and all that kind of stuff, and like how would you even kind of cost it at that level as well, if the quality is kind of like what we're looking at here and stuff? It's just how
many years it's gonna take,
right? I mean, how would that be generated on chain? I don't know, but it's a tricky question.
Yeah, that's why I'm taking my time.
Yeah,
right partners. I have some friends that I've like for the last year they've been doing work, generative like people, but I'm still like testing things. How many traits you have to be, like how do you think they also you need a little bit of like story behind, like that's very important too. Not just have it out there, but you have to be part of the universe, tell some kind of story. At least that's how I like to picture things. Some people just do it for the fun of it or for the money, but for me, so I try to find like what makes sense. Market, what makes sense for what I've built so far. That would be the next big step. And before that, I think like other like actions also enter more fashion. Have a few lined up for the years as well. That front. Those are good for as well. Having like seeing my character like what, because like I don't usually character, but there's Dilemma was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Really spend the time crafting every part of it. Be able to see that in a game or something.
Wow, that's it. I mean, there's so much. I mean, I've said before, like the aesthetic, the level of detail, everything, the time that you put into all these works of art. That it's superbly crafted, and I'm a big fan anyway. So I just wanted to, but yeah, I mean, it's I think I've got through all of our community questions, and I think I'm coming to the end of mine as well. So I think what I wanted to just say is just a big thank you to you for kind of taking the time out of your day to join me for this chat. And the communicate questions that have been asked in this episode, Vinny's going to go, they've all been written down. Vinny's going to go and actually choose some winners, and then we'll announce those in the Discord. So if you wrote a question down and submitted it, you've got a good chance of winning one of Vinny's cards, which, as we know, is just an awesome one. So yeah, thank you so much, Vinny. Pleasure chatting with you. And thanks to the community for supporting the Playing Arts Project. Those listening live, we have a POAP for you. This is exclusive, and I'll be distributing these just after the show. So Vinny, thank you once again. And also, before we go, actually, there's one more thing that Vinny has coming up tomorrow. This is let me just find it. There's this piece here. There's in fact, I've got a real close up of it. This is just something that's coming out as part of a collaboration, and this is the R66 Voids project, and yours is number 13, I believe. So you can actually go on Rarible tomorrow when they're launched. I think the price is it an auction or is it? It's an auction, and so yeah. So yeah, 0.2, and the details are in this this tweet that Vini has here. So Vini, absolute pleasure, as I've said. Really appreciate the time, and yeah, thank you.
Weisman, thank you so much, everyone, for listening.
That's great, man. We'll see you in another episode of the Playing Arts Podcast.
For sure. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.